When it comes to jumping into a new MMO, when you've been playing one for X amount of years, it can be a little difficult, and a lot of times you can get the wrong impression, especially if you're going into the game thinking it's going to be a replacement or a carbon copy of whatever you're leaving. Welcome to the channel. My name is Teddy, and I'll be showing you my first impressions on Throne and Liberty to see if this game is going to be right for you or if you should just stick to the same MMO that you've been playing. I normally play Black Desert, but I'm going to be trying this game out, and I'm going to be showing you guys some pros and cons, so there are two things to keep in mind before we jump into this. One, this is its own game. It's not trying to be a carbon copy of whatever game that you are jumping out from. And two, I'm not going to try to convince you how great the game is or you should try to play this. If you've played this game before and you don't like it, clearly and obviously you do not like it. I should not have to be the one to tell you. So without wasting any more time, be sure to like, subscribe, and let's just jump into it, shall we? When just starting out Throne and Liberty, you will be given the choice of which servers you want to choose. You can either choose West America, East America, Europe, Japan/Oceanic, or South America. Choosing a server is pretty straightforward with just selecting it. Once you select your server, you only have the choice between either human, male, or a human female. Choosing male or female is pretty straightforward with being able to select your character customization. Now, when it comes to the character customization, it's not as robust as a lot of the other MMOs like Black Desert, but there are a lot of different customizations that you can go through and play around to see which one is to your liking. Or you can even just randomize your appearance. There are presets you can click on to see which ones you like, and you can sit there and customize them after the fact. Just keep in mind, with the game being brand new and still being in open beta, there's still a lot of time for them to go ahead and add more customization options if they choose. And unlike most games, the tutorial will start as soon as you hit start game. So there is basically no transition. Completing this tutorial will show you guys all the controls, showing you how to change your menus, how to change your controls, zooming in, the basics of any tutorial, only with added cinematics in there to make you feel like you are really experiencing the game. After a while going through the cinematics and your tutorial, eventually, you will be led off into the main world. Now, as for the story, I'm not gonna lie to you, the story is very unappealing, and it's your stereotypical Korean MMO type of story. You're the chosen one, you have to go save the world, a lot of bad things are happening. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but just know you're probably not gonna be playing for the stories. The cinematics, however, are very good, and I'd rather just watch for the cinematics and not really care too much about the story. Now, jumping into the world, one thing to really notice is how good the graphics are. If you have a newer graphics card, the game will look really amazing and run great. If you are using an older gen graphics card, you will have to adjust the settings to really get your 60 frames per second, but playing around with the settings will make the game look beautiful and run smooth. Transitions in this game are fluent with being able to teleport without having to go through any type of loading screen. This allows for easy travel and seamless play, so you guys can jump in and out of the combat without having to spend a lot of time traveling or having to sit there and load the game. Now, if you went to go adjust your settings, you'd quickly notice there's a lot of menus. One bad thing about the game is how many menus and the overall information that they're throwing out to you. This game can be overwhelming, but they do show you a step-by-step tutorial and they highlight every new aspect of the game. So if you are confused, they will give you a tutorial. Now, the character customization options, there's a lot of them. There are other games out there that gives more customization in terms of your classes and the weapons that are available. But just being open beta and not being released, there is a lot of time for them to go ahead and introduce new weapons, new class capabilities, but we have the options to increase our stats, strength, Dexterity, Wisdom, Perception. Hovering over them will show you what they affect, and you can see the stat details too if you want a more in-depth approach at your stats. We are allowed to have 3 different equipment and stat sets, so if you guys have one playstyle you like and want to try out a different one, it's as simple as changing your set and equipping different stats and armor. You can reset your stats too if they are not to your liking. I'm pretty sure when the game does come out, it will cost solvent, but right now it is free. Now, with the equipment comes the Korean New World comparison. Equipping different weapons will give you different skills that can be used, allowing you to make a different class. I suggest trying out the different combinations and seeing which classes to your playstyle. When it comes to enhancing in Throne and Liberty, unlike with Black Desert or with, like, say, Lost Ark, there is no chances to fail and breaking your, say, gems, gear, the weapons, nothing like that. You do have the ability to get more experience when leveling with your common, intermediate, greater, and special chances. All of the enhancement materials required does have all of the information needed to let you know where to find them or how to craft them. And one bright side about enhancing in Throne and Liberty, weapons, armor, accessories, and your skills are all enhanced the same way, although using different materials, but there's no special gimmick to it. Now with the skills, there's not a lot of skills, but when you think about it, there can be, with each weapon having their own set of skills, your own defensive skills, allowing you to block different ways, and they have their own stats on their blocking. Not to mention, we also have passive skills that, obviously, they're passive skills. Transcendent skills, I'm not sure, I'm not that far along. And guardian skills. Every skill can be upgraded just like armor, weapons, and accessories. Doing this will require certain materials. I suggest playing around with them and seeing which one is best for you. Now, with your weapons comes the mastery. Right now, currently in game, we have dagger, sword, greatsword, longsword, crossbow, staff, and wands. Your weapons do have weapon mastery, which increases the stats even further of whichever preset that you like to go with. So once you guys have a weapon that you guys really enjoy, you can start working on the mastery to further increase your effectiveness with it. Now, not only do we have those ways to customize our playstyle and our character, we also have different guardians that we can go out into the world and find, which will give us different little stats. Hovering over them will show you the different little abilities that they will give you when active. Your little helper, the Amatoi, does have its own customization options too that you can go out into the world and find. Right now, these are only skins, but they're adorable, and how can you not go out into the world and try to collect them? And just in case you thought the customization was done, you have the ability to go ahead and change the way you dash, glide, and or swim. These can be leveled up by using them, and they all have their own individual level, increasing the stats for each one. The skins can be changed too by finding them out in the world or buying them from the cash shop when the game does come out. So if you guys really enjoy the aspect of customizing your character to really match your playstyle, Throne and Liberty really does have you covered. Combat in Throne and Liberty can feel extremely slow early on, with it getting better later on in the game. The more customization that you do with your character, getting your playstyle to match how you want, the more combat will start to feel fluent. I've often heard the early combat in Throne and Liberty compared to World of Warcraft's classic warrior combat. The more customization that you put into your character, and the more you progress through the game, the combat should feel a lot better for you. And obviously, if you've played the game and you're not liking the combat, it's not for you, there's nothing I can say to convince you otherwise. This is not going to be like Black Desert, Terra, or New World, with it being more focused on tab targeting and the auto attacking. A little quality of life change. If you rebind your attack to the right mouse button, it does make combat a little bit more tolerable. Now, if you're like me and you enjoy gathering and crafting, you're probably wondering, is there gathering and crafting? Well, in Throne and Liberty, there is gathering and crafting, but not in the way that you'd think. In Throne and Liberty, there is gathering for the materials needed to craft up your armor, weapons, and your accessories, not to mention the skill books needed to go ahead and level up your skills. But the gathering and crafting is condensed down to only those. You can only go out and gather the materials, then bring them back to an NPC to turn into either the weapon or the armor. Apart from the materials, there are blueprints that are needed to go and craft up any of the weapons and armor, which can be obtained from dungeons, which leads us into our group play activities. Throne and Liberty heavily relies on group play. This is a guild-oriented game with having a lot of siege combat, guild versus guild, or just group activity. A lot of it should and can be done with your guild, though parties can be made and you can queue up for dungeons. Dungeons can be done using your whole guild, or you can queue up with random players. And speaking of guilds, we are given a guild house, which I'm pretty sure on release we will have the ability to go ahead and customize it. But with the guilds come PvP. The PvP in this game, I haven't really got to enjoy the PvP being a healer, but it can be done either in your guild house, between your guild to practice, or can be done out in the world. Rival guilds have the ability to go ahead and attack you on site, and they will show up red in your game and on your minimap. There are several areas in the world that can be claimed by guilds, which leads to a lot of the world PvP over these. Not to mention, each zone does have the ability to go passive or go into conflict, allowing you to peacefully do your combat, or you can be hunted down if you're in a conflict area. There's a lot of quests in this game. Unfortunately, a lot of it can be confusing with having to go through your codex, you having the exploration that has their own quest lines that can be done. These are more like the side quests. And you do have all of the knowledge topics that you can go out there and collect. I'm pretty sure when the game does come out, there will be achievements. So for you guys that enjoy the achievement hunting, it will be fun. From what I know over on the Korean servers, it will take at least 2 months to complete everything in the game. So if we're following the Korean timeline, that should give them enough time to start producing more content. We can't have first impressions without mentioning the sound and the overall voice acting. Let's be real, the voice acting in Throne and Liberty could use work with all of the lines and dialogue just sounding so cheesy.
So that's where you were. I was looking for you. Lottie transported supplies to the North Guard.
The sound, however, is really amazing.
You want to use the contract? Take a look at the contracts before you start.
I personally enjoy in-game sounds, the ambience, the effects, and sometimes the music. The music is tolerable, but I do know a lot of players won't even bother toggling on the music and would rather play without it. Me personally, I'm not sure if I'm going to toggle it on or off yet. At the end of the day, this is not going to be the same game that you're probably leaving and or playing on the side. I don't suggest spending money for the early access 5 days before everyone else. It's a little bit too costly for it being a free game, but like I said, it's a free game. It will be crossplay, allowing you to play with Xbox and PlayStation users, Switch users. I'm sorry, you do not get to play with any of the PC players either. But let me know how you guys feel about this, if this is a game that you guys have tried, if you enjoyed it, or if you automatically heard Asmon's comments on the combat and you just chose not to really want to play it. For me, it's been fun, and I'm going to play this when the game comes out, but it's not going to be for everyone. If you've been enjoying my live streams of the open beta and want to see me play this game live when it does come out, be sure to check out the channel, sub, turn on all those notifications, everything that I'm supposed to tell you, and I will see you guys in the next one.